PWCC is a great way to sell your sports cards. If you're looking for a way to support the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel, consider using the promo code Cajun, all caps, CAJUN, when you're selling your cards on the PWCC marketplace. Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and today is an episode of Hypotheticals. I went to law school many decades ago, not many decades, but 2 decades ago, or a little over 2 decades ago, and hypotheticals were often the way we were sort of taught to think like a lawyer, think like an attorney, which I know is not always perceived very well in today's modern society. But there are good lawyers out there who mean well and do good things, and I like to think that I'm one of them. Again, I'm not the guy that goes into court and screams at people and puts them in jail or keeps them out of jail or, represents divorcees or, child molesters or things like that. I'm just a guy that pushes paper around and helps people buy houses. So I am still just barely an attorney, primarily more so a businessman. But hypotheticals were the way that law professors often taught us law students how to think outside the box and apply the law to certain fact patterns to come to logical conclusions, applying the law to get to sort of a result or a judgment or how you think a judge or a jury would rule in a certain set of circumstances. So today's episode is a bunch of hypotheticals, and I'm asking you as members of the jury what you think is what would you do? What should you do? Is it okay? Is it ethically okay? And does it change based on slight changes to the fact patterns? And so here's what we've got. I'm going to switch you over. I'm going to show you a video, and it's going to be silent, but this is a video. This was a short that I actually put on my channel. You guys may recognize this card. I posted it on Instagram. This was a Michael Jordan Atomic Refractor number 80 from Bowman's Best, and you can see this is just a little short that I did showing you that I was going to crack these two. That's the gold promo as well. But I was going to crack this Bowman's Best card number 80 Atomic. I bought that BGS 8 that you see me cracking with those needle nose pliers or with those pliers. I bought that bad boy at the National for I think $925, which I bought it because I looked at Card Ladder and I was like, that's like a $1,200, $1,300 card, I thought. And so I bought this bad boy right here with the intention of cracking it out and running it up the flagpole at PSA at some point. Now, it took me forever. As you can see, we're just now getting around to talking about it, and I just now got my grade back from PSA, so stay tuned. We'll share that in just a second. But I cracked that BGS Atomic Refractor that I picked up at the National from a dealer, brought it back here, cracked it, submitted it to PSA, and that's the end of the video. So those are the two cards that I was cracking, but let's kill that. Let's just look at that particular card. There's the card we're talking about. Jordan had like 7 or 8 Atomic Refractors. They're amazing and they're fantastic, and you will see every single one of his Atomic Refractors mentioned in the Cajun Cardboard Michael Jordan Hierarchy project that you'll find in a playlist on this channel. But this is the 96 Bowman's Best number 80 Refractor. So really, really good looking card, really amazing in hand. You almost have to have the Atomic Refractors in hand to truly appreciate the card. But that's what the BGS 8 looks like. And like I said, February 1st of 2022 was about a $1,300 card. I think I bought this thing for $925, if I recall, at the National up in Chicago. So this most recent National. So what is that, like 6 months ago, something like that, 5-6 months ago. So I'm sitting pretty, right? I'm in a good spot. I was going to send it to PSA thinking, if it comes back a PSA 8, a PSA 8's probably worth more than a BGS 8. I don't know, but let's look it up together. PSA 8, I'm wrong. Okay, so the PSA 8 most recently graded for $840, but it's graded as high as it's sold for as high as $1,680, $840. I collect, PSA 8s and 10s. I do collect BGS 9.5s, but I don't think I have very many BGS 8s in my collection unless it's a tier 1, a top tier 1 Jordan. For whatever reason, I just don't necessarily like to keep those in my collection. That's just my personal preference. So I was going to crack the 8, send it to PSA. If I got a PSA 9, it's a huge win, right? Because a PSA 9, you're probably talking about, a $2,000 card. Yeah, okay, so there you go. Last 3 sales, $2,500, $1,850, $2,125. So I'm thinking if I could crack this and it gets a 9, and this thing looked amazing. I'm doubling my money, right? So that's my play. And again, you guys can bag on me and say I'm an investor or a flipper or whatever. I mean, it's how the game's played. Like, I try to collect the Michael Jordan cards in the highest grade that I can get them. And so if I can buy a BGS 8, crack it, pay 30, 40 bucks, put it into a PSA slab, double the value of the card, and then put it into my vault, and I feel better about a higher PSA grade than a lower BGS grade, you're damn right I'm going to do it. And hopefully you guys would do the same thing. I think most of you would admit that you would. So that was the game plan. So let's check out the pop report for this thing. So the BGS 8 that I picked up is one of the worst BGS graded atomics out there. These actually grade pretty well. In PSA, it's got an 11.81% gem rate. In BGS, it's got a 12% gem rate. So you're talking about double-digit gems. So the card actually grades pretty well by 90s Jordan standards. The BGS 8 had, 123 higher graded. So nothing special about that BGS 8, which is why you saw it was a three-figure card. If I could put it in a PSA 9, now you're talking about a Pop 78 card with only 17 higher graded PSA 10s. So that was my goal. And the gem rate for each was about the same. And like I said, this thing looked undergraded to me. Now, to be clear, when I cracked this thing out, I put a bunch of lotion on. No, I'm just kidding. I don't put shit on my cards. I just took a microfiber. I didn't put any lotion on it. I took a microfiber. I wiped the back. I took a microfiber. I wiped the front, and then I put it into a penny sleeve. I put it into a card saver one, and I popped that sucker off to PSA. I did not put any ointments or juices or spooge or lotion or any kind of salve on the card. I just wiped it down with a microfiber and sent it off. And I didn't think anything looked wrong with the card, so I didn't really understand the BGS 8 grade, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, so what do you think happened? Of course, this never happens, but as Wesley Snipes said in the great original, the only real White Man Can't Jump movie, the sun even shines on a dog's ass some days. And I'm the dog, and it shined on my ass because that's what came back. A PSA 10 copy came back. I haven't even received this thing in the mail yet. I am fingers crossed that everything arrives fine, but that's what the card looked like. And as you can see, you see what I see, the card looks freaking perfect. The corners look razor sharp. The surface is impeccable. Again, it's really hard to see the complexity and the beauty of an atomic refractor in a 2D image. Even a 2D image as quality as the one you see on your screen, but that's what happened right there. So this is where the hypotheticals begin. First of all, you guys know what happens when I get a card that I don't have in a PSA 10 grade that's in the Michael Jordan hierarchy, and I don't own the card. Cajun Eternity, right? We talk about that. I keep the damn thing for Cajun Eternity, copyright Cajun Cardboard. That card's not gonna be sold. And so that's why this is a hypothetical. Let's just say that's a duplicate and I was gonna go sell this card. The hypothetical and the question that I pose to you guys as viewers is, what do I do? Like, do I need to tell people that the card used to be a BGS 8? Yes or no? It's a simple answer. Do I need to disclose that this card was once a BGS 8 but is now a PSA 10? I don't think I do. I don't think I do hypothetically. And I don't know if I've ever done this or not because I've never actually had a card go from $800 to $15,000. So there's your PSA 10 value, right? You're talking about a $15,000, $16,000 card minimum, right? Because the card sold, even hell, if we go back 6 months, I think the card sold for damn $24,600 at some point in the last 6 months. So you're talking about, paying a little PSA grading fee, and yeah, I'm going to get upcharged. That's fine. Give me all the upcharges you want at PSA. A card going from a BGS 8 to a PSA 10 is a financial windfall, right? It doesn't happen very often, but the sun shined on my dog's ass this one day, and so that's what happened. So if I was going to sell this card on eBay, do you think I have some type of moral, ethical obligation to disclose that the card was once a BGS 8? I personally, in this situation, I do not. Okay, but I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm going to give you a couple of hypotheticals. Still fighting through the cold. The first hypothetical is my exact situation. BGS 8 to PSA 10. Do you need to disclose it? If you're trying to sell it on Instagram, do I have some obligation to tell people? Is it deceptive? Is it deceitful? Is it deceptive not to tell people the prior grade? What if in the hypothetical, what if it changed? What if it went from a 9 to an 8? Would you disclose that? You probably would, because as a seller, it would make your card seem like it was better than the PSA 8 that it was in. But You know, grading is subjective. It's a human being on a given day at a given company, waking up after a given night that he or she had the night before, and giving a card a particular grade. And that same grader may give a card, the exact same card, a different grade on a different day. That's how subjective grading is. That's how, I don't want to use the word ambiguous, but damn, it sure does seem like it's getting that way. Anybody who can think a card's a BGS 8 and also a PSA 10, that's two different people doing the exact same job at two companies. That's mind-boggling to me. But let me change the hypothetical. What if it went from a 9, then to an 8, then back to a 9? Would you disclose that it had dropped down to an 8 in between? Crack, sub, and now you've got a 9 again? Do you need to disclose that it was a 9, then an 8, then a 9? I think all of us would agree you're not going to disclose shit on that. You don't have this obligation to tell anybody about the particular history of your card. The same way that I don't think I have an obligation to tell people what I paid for the card, right? Sometimes sellers use that tagline, which I cannot stand. I'm into it for X, right? As a buyer, I don't give a damn what you're into it for. All I care about is what I'm about to get into it for, right? I don't care what you're into it for. So, I don't think you have an obligation if it goes 9, 8, 9. I don't think you have an obligation if it goes BGS 6 to PSA 10, right? I didn't grade it. I didn't put the thing in a PSA slab. That person at PSA on that particular day thought it was a 10. On a different day, no bullshit, somebody at PSA probably is going to put down that it's a PSA 8. It just depends on who you get on that particular day. So here's some other hypotheticals, right? First, keep that hypothetical number 1 in mind, which is exactly what happened to me. I'm curious what your comments are below. Again, it's not going to matter in the long run because I am not selling this card. I've had people already offer, Naz already tried to buy it, VTV tried to buy it. I ain't selling the car. It's just not going to be sold because I need it, and I'm always trying to move my Jordan collection forward. If it was a Kobe refractor, you're damn right. It would be gone already. I would have sold it already, but it's a Jordan refractor. It's not going anywhere. It's my baby. What if I picked the card up at the National in a PSA authentic altered or a BGS light blue authentic altered label, cracked the card out, sent it to PSA and got a PSA 10? Does your answer change? Does your answer change, or does it stay the same? Or what is your answer in that situation? The card was at one point deemed altered by an individual grader. And then here we are, who knows how many months later, but recently, last month or this month, a couple of weeks ago, another grader says, it's a PSA 10, it looks fine to me. Do I have an obligation to tell people that at one point this card was deemed authentic altered? What if I bought the card from a seller who did disclose it to me and say, hey, I just wanted you to know, out of an abundance of caution, hey, I just wanted you to know the card was once deemed altered. Then I cracked it and I sent it to PSA and now it's a PSA 10. And then Cajun Cardboard comes in and buys it as a PSA 10. Well, then do I then have a duty to disclose what the prior seller told me about the card at one point being deemed altered by a particular grader on PSA at some given point in time in the distant past when I wasn't even the owner of the card? I don't know the answer to that question. What do you think about that? What do you think about that scenario? What if the card went from men's size? What if I sent it to PSA, and this happens a lot, and I do disclose this because I think it's all bullshit. What if I had sent this card raw? What if I just I bought the card raw, or I pulled it out of a pack? I sent it to PSA, and you guys have seen this on some of my PSA grade reveal videos. I get men's size back all the time. It's complete bullshit. I've got a stack of men's size cards over here, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, men's size, when you get a PSA card back in the card saver instead of a graded slab, it's like, ugh. I did all that for nothing. I was all excited about this card. It came back deemed minimum size, meaning it's short or it's not the correct size. It doesn't mean PSA is saying you trim the card, Cajun Cardboard. It just means it's not the correct size, right? It happened to me 3 for 3 on 1986 Fleer Kareem stickers, right? So now I got to send those same stickers to BGS, and I'll tell the world about that because the world knows it's all bullshit, right? The men's size thing is a bunch of bullshit. So does your hypothetical change? What if those Kareem stickers that I have at PSA, that all 3 of them came back minimum size? I'm sending all 3 to Beckett. What if they come back 9, 9, 8? do I have an obligation to tell people that PSA deemed these men's size before I sent them to BGS and sell them? I'm going to sell them on this channel. And I'm disclosing it to you now. I don't give a shit. I know this. I don't care. Like when I buy my 86 Fleer, when I was putting the 86 Fleer set together, I didn't go ask everybody that I bought cards from, hey, was this card ever at one point deemed by PSA to be minimum size? I care about the slab that it's in now and the number that's on that slab now and what the actual card looks like now, because that's really all I care about. I don't care about the history of the card as far as that goes. I don't know. The same way I don't care about the history of the value of the card. I don't care, if a seller tells me, hey, this Bowman PSA 10 Atomic Refractor once sold for $24,600, so I'm looking for $24,600. Well, I don't give a shit what you're looking for, and I don't care what you're into the card for. All I care about is most recent comps and what those look like, and then comparing this card to those cards, and then making an educated, logical, estimate of what I think the value of the card is on this exact day, fair market value. I don't care what it used to be worth. I don't care that it was at one point deemed a men's size. I care about what it is today. So that's the other hypothetical. We've got our hypothetical here. What if it had gone from those of you who would say yes, if the card was a BGS 8 and now it's a PSA 10 Cajun cardboard, if you're going to sell that card, you have got to tell the next person that it was a BGS 8. Does your answer change, your yes to the disclosure, does your answer change if it was a BGS 9.5 and now it's a PSA 10? Do I have an obligation selling a PSA 10, Jim Mint, to tell the buyer that at one point it was a BGS 9.5, Jim Mint? And then if I do I have to tell them the subgrades? I mean, it's almost like a parade of horribles is what they called it, right? It's a cascade of it's like a never-ending loop, right? It's like, where do you draw the line? There is a line, right? There is a line somewhere, but where do you draw the line? Like if you know that the card in the slab is fake, that's a problem. That is a moral, ethical obligation to tell a potential buyer the card in this slab is a fake card. That is an obligation. I think we can all agree on that. But telling somebody what the card once graded or that it was once deemed, authentic, altered, or men's size from a prior grader at a prior date and time when you weren't the owner or were you were the owner, I don't know if you have an ethical, moral obligation. I know that sounds kind of shady, but I just don't know. But I'm curious to for what you guys think. And again, it doesn't apply in this because I'm not selling the card. But what if the card went from PSA and I got it and I was like, my God, I think this might be the only black label Atomic Refractor Bowman's Best 1996 card number 80 in the world. I could have the only black label in the world. The black label would look so good on this Atomic Refractor yellow and red. I'm going to crack my PSA 10. I got balls the size of a freaking horse. I'm going to crack this PSA 10. I'm going to send it to BGS. And guess what? I was right. I have the most finely trained eye. I finally know what a damn card's going to grade. And I cracked a PSA 10 and I made a great story and it's going to make for a great video. It comes back a BGS Black Label 10. It's the only one in the world. When I go to sell that BGS Black Label 10, which I never would, but if I did, do I have to tell people that it was once a PSA 10? What if it was a PSA 8 and then it turned into a black label BGS 10, right? Is there a disparity? Is there a difference between your obligation for those two? I don't know. That's just, these are some of the thoughts that are ruminating through my mind. We've been doing a lot of talking about the cross-country collection. We've been doing a lot of talking, about sending cards to PSA and grade reveals and things like that. And this is just one of those things that kind of runs through your head. I woke up this morning on New Year's Day and I was like, this is an interesting situation. I wonder if reasonable minds could differ on what the correct and proper way to handle this particular situation is. And so I present to you all of these hypotheticals, and I hope that this video will lead to a great deal of engagement and some interesting comments. And don't just say yes or no. Let us know why. Let us know why you do or you do not have an oral ethical, moral obligation to disclose what the card once graded as, and then where does that obligation cease? Does it ever tail off? If it was 10 years ago, does that change your hypothetical? Does that change the answer to your hypothetical? Is there a disparity between a number grade to a number grade and a altered to a number grade, or a min size to a number grade? Is min size and altered the exact same thing? Is that the same obligation, or is altered something super special? And again, we're all on the same page. If it's ever deemed this ain't real, this is a fake PSA slab, or it's a fake card that snuck by BGS, like a big men on court die cut Jordan from Taiwan with a certain certification number on the label, that is a whole different deal. We can all agree that needs to be disclosed. So let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just some real cool food for thought. I hope you're having a great week in the hobby. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys listening to the channel. If you haven't yet, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm, which I can't understand nor take advantage of. Again, I'm living in a tiny little world here. I'm talking about a very, very small niche of the hobby. I don't like saying that word. It sounds kind of fruity, but niche. I'm talking about a very small segment of the hobby, so I'm never going to have the numbers that some of these other people do, where they talk about any and all sports and trading card games, and or we get into the drama and the fraud and the this company bought this company, or this company went bankrupt, or this company cheated this company, or this many one-of-ones were actually printed. I'm not going to get into all that bullshit. And so I need you guys who watch my channel to really hit that subscribe button. And if you're so inclined, there are a couple ways that you can support the channel. They're all listed in my YouTube description. One is just hit the PayPal link and send me what you think my channel is worth to you on a monthly basis. It is 100% voluntary. It's not necessarily about the money. It's just about substantiating and validating what it is I do when I come in and I hit record literally 7 to 10 times a week for you guys. I'm trying to put out the most consistent content in the sports card hobby, period, end of story, the most consistent, and I think I'm either at or near the top. If you think there's a value to that, and not having to watch Viagra and Cialis commercials in the middle of my shit, or prescription medication from Big Pharma in the middle of my videos, and you actually just get to hear about cards and basketball cards and no drama, no fraud, no commercials, and none of that. If you think there's a value to that, hit the PayPal donation link and shoot some cash over. I'd appreciate it, you very much for it. And at some point it'll turn into higher quality videos, because right now it's just a dude in Baton Rouge, Louisiana screaming at the screen. There's not a lot of money or effort put into the finer points of the channel, and that's another reason why I'm not trying to take over the world. I'm never going to be the biggest or the baddest channel on YouTube. I don't even put my stuff out onto podcast platforms because I can't afford the extra 3 or 4 minutes that it takes to go upload it to those platforms. I just don't have time because I want to hit record and record the next video for you guys. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.